Welcome to another Alzheimer Society of Calgary Facebook video talk. I'm Paul Bartel, the Manager of Learning and Support Services, and with me today is...
I'm Miranda. I'm one of the social workers here at the Alzheimer Society of Calgary.
And we're here today to talk about something called the life story or life history. So Miranda, could you tell us a bit about what a life story is?
Yeah, well, as the name suggests, it's really just taking a history of who your person is, right? What is their life story? So it's the significant and the minor details of what makes up a person who they are, what their likes and dislikes are, and implementing that into the care that you're going to provide to them.
Okay. Yeah. So what kind of things would you try to capture in that life story?
Yeah. So the significant things would be, well, this is not a exhaustive list, right? But any trauma that they might have lived through, whether that be maybe they lived through a difficult time in history, that's going to influence who they are now. It could be what their career was, or what religion they believe in, who their family is, and things more of that nature. As well as the minor details, which are equally as important, right? So for example, if I was going into someone's home to visit with their person who was living with dementia, I might say, hey, let's have a cup of tea, which may or may not work depending on what that person's preferences are. So even the minor details with their likes and dislikes are going to impact their care.
So you want to try and capture as much as possible in terms of the good things, maybe some of the bad things, but all of those details that go to make a person who they are.
Absolutely. And it's really focusing on the strengths, right? While being mindful and flexible with their limitations as well, so that we can modify activities to what the person is able to do.
Okay. So why is it important to have it? And I think we're starting to get there anyways, but yeah, why is it a tool that we think is so important to have?
Mm-hmm. Well, like we said, the life story it's person focused, right? So it puts the person before the disease. So you're seeing who the person is rather than, oh, they're a person with dementia.
Right. And that's something that happens all too commonly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It does. So it's also, when you introduce somebody with dementia, it's not, oh, this is my dad that has dementia. It's, oh, this is my dad. He is a retired firefighter or teacher.
Right.
So it gives context to others about who your person really is.
Yeah, and it remembers their accomplishments and the fact that they've lived a full life.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I can see that it also really helped, especially if you're meeting somebody with a diagnosis for the first time, having a few things like this might really help build a bit of a connection almost right away.
Right. So it gives you things to talk about, right? And activities that you meet that they like, but also that you like doing with them.
Right.
Yeah.
So some stuff in common.
Absolutely.
So how then sort of keeps us going here? How do we use that information if I had those kinds of details?
Mm-hmm. Well, it builds connection and trust. So your person, particularly if they're meeting someone new to them, they don't have any connection or trust built with them. So if you have a little piece about who they are, you can use that to build that relationship in a more positive direction. It can also help any members of the care team avoid behaviors coming out, right? If the person's happy and interested and engaged in activity. And also give you context when a behavior is happening. Maybe you can try and use that life story to figure out what the person means or why that behavior is occurring.
Okay. Well, and I can see too, especially if it's captured some information on things a person might dislike, it gives you some ways to avoid situations that could become challenging.
Exactly.
Because you have that. So what are some other situations where you might, like, we've talked a bit about meeting somebody for the first time and being able to use that to maybe build some commonalities. What are some other situations or places you might use it?
Yeah, well, I think a concern that a lot of people have is getting their person to, for personal care, right? So bathing, or even their dietary preferences, eating enough. So if you know what a person likes, just like we talked about that coffee and tea example, then you might be able to put something in front of them that they're more likely to eat or drink. And same with the bathing preferences. If you're trying to give someone a bath first thing in the morning, and that's not typically how they've lived their lives, they prefer to take a shower in the evening, you might experience some difficulties in getting them to engage in that task.
So it allows people to adapt some of their plans or their normal routines to accommodate what that person prefers.
Exactly.
Okay. Now, one of the other things, of course, is that I'm thinking about here is, it kind of maybe said, okay, this is who this person is or the things they have liked, but people with dementia don't always stay the same, right? They still change.
Exactly. So the life story, it's a living document, right? Whether it's something that you've written down or you're taking knowledge from what you know about that person, things change, right? And the life story shouldn't limit you and what you're going to try and how you're going to try to engage that person. So for example, your person never liked artwork, but now they're running to be the first one into
an art program.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
people still continue to evolve and change. And,
absolutely.
And interests change. So
just because it's not written on their life story as something that they like or dislike doesn't mean that can't change.
Okay. And I like the point that it's a living document, which means it's something, because you'll continue to learn things about people as you get to know them.
Right.
So,
and to update that document.
And to keep it updated. So speaking of that document, how do you go about creating it or collecting that information?
Yeah, so there's a lot of different ways you can do that. It could be like one of these papers that we have in front of us, which we will link in this video. So it could be something like this, where you just write down the answers to questions about likes and dislikes and who your person is. It could be a video that the person created, and maybe you continuously make new videos about that. Or even memory boxes, so a box full of trinkets that can spark conversation or can help.
Reminiscing. Yeah. I can see that photographs, photo albums might also be a really great way to approach this.
Absolutely. And your person doesn't necessarily have to remember every detail about what was happening in those photos, but it also allows the caregiver a topic of conversation.
Yeah. Right. Something that can maybe start to help build that engagement.
Yeah, and particularly for people who maybe they're professional caretakers, it gives them something to refer to when, like we said, maybe they're not understanding the context of a behavior or
something that the person is asking about.
Yeah, exactly. A really good example of that actually happened in our day program, where a member was getting really agitated in the afternoon, hanging out by the doorway, and the staff couldn't figure out what was going on. So they actually referred to the life story and found out that this gentleman really liked camel racing.
Okay.
Right. So the staff member went over and got an iPad and started watching camel racing, which then the gentleman came over and really got engaged with that and really helped to reduce that agitation that he was experiencing.
Yeah, and was done in a way that drew him in to participate in something he wanted to participate in.
Right.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for joining us today. If you have any questions on this topic or any other, you can feel free to reach out to us at either 403-290-0110 or email us at findsupport@alzheimercalgary.ca. We'll be back in 2 weeks with another video. If you have any questions on a topic you think we should address in one of these, please let us know, and we will do our best to do that. Thank you very much.